to talk about advocacy and also a few other things. I mean, first, let me introduce myself. My migraine story is I was diagnosed 28 years ago. I turned 50 today, this year, not today, this year. And I think we all remember our first migraine. I remember mine. I was working at a bank at the time as a teller. I had just graduated from university and I was sort of looking for work in my field. And I was standing there and, just get this terrible pain on my right side, felt really nauseous, went home. I was living with my parents at the time and, ended up just instinctively in a dark room, throwing up, in a lot of pain. And I remember my mom trying to help me through that. And sure enough, that was my first migraine. And they got worse. So lately, I guess in the last 10 years, they have become chronic and daily. But they started off episodic. My understanding is that that is sort of a normal progression for a lot of people. Start in your 20s, get worse around menopause. The one thing that I will say, try to talk about silver linings today, is that I feel really lucky to have gotten through my childhood without migraine. I know a lot of people who have had them ever since, they can remember. And for me, I was able to get through, I was a high school athlete. I really enjoyed my university years. And so to be able to get through that without migraine was a real blessing for me. I have tried about 80 treatments. In the doctor's presentation, all of those things rang a bell. I'm going to go over that a little bit later, but it's really hard when you get to a place where you feel like you've tried everything. One thing I always try to tell people is you probably haven't tried everything. Don't let the doctors sort of make you feel guilty if they're saying, oh, you haven't tried everything. But on the other hand, there's always something out there to try. Especially lately, there's just so many new medications and new modalities coming out. So keep that in mind. Some of my comorbidities, I don't know if everybody knows that word, but basically comorbidities are diseases that happen together and they don't really know why, like one's not causing the other, but it's more common for us to have those diseases if we have migraine. For me, I was diagnosed with celiac disease in 2015. That's sort of my second worst disease in terms of managing it. It's a very bad intolerance to gluten, where it will actually destroy your intestines if you keep eating gluten. So I've been 100% gluten-free for 5 years and didn't help my migraines, unfortunately, but it did help other aspects of my health. I also had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. I had my thyroid removed about 21 years ago. Lately I have had a lot of autoimmune diseases sort of pile on. So I've had a couple of skin issues that have come up, which is not fun. And then like a lot of other people, when you are chronically ill, I have also had depression and anxiety diagnosed, which I try to be upfront about that. I don't know if those were, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. I don't know if those were caused by my chronic illness or whether they came first, but they are out there. So next slide here. Oh, before I forget, I got to introduce my dogs. The boxer is Bella and the little one is Whiskey, who I just got. So if anybody else has pets out there, you know how important they are to our lives. Some of the advocacy I've done, I've been participating in Miles for Migraine since 2013. The picture in front of the Golden Gate Bridge there was last year's event with my two sisters and my friend Sandra on the left there. They were so supportive, helped me raise a lot of money and went on the walk with me. I think we had 3 dogs with us too. It was a really fun event. I've also been going to Headache on the Hill. For those of you who don't know what Headache on the Hill is, it's a annual event where advocates from we're getting close to all 50 states, but most of the states go to Washington, D.C. And we have a day where we go around Capitol Hill and speak to our representatives and our senators. It is a wonderful event. Everyone who goes just is totally thrilled. It is also a lot of work, and it costs money to get there because we all volunteer and fly ourselves out there, especially when you're coming from California. There's a time change, and it takes a little toll on you, but there's nothing more rewarding than feeling like you've talked to your legislators and or their staff and feeling like you're making some headway and getting extra money for migraine research. And the third point, yeah, I struggle with having enough energy to advocate every day. I also I'm not working full time, but I work about 30 hours a week. And that's a real struggle for me too. But we all just do what we can. And once you get into advocacy, it's a little bit addicting and you want to do more and more. So it's a great feeling. One thing I always say about migraines, I think everybody can relate to this, is that the one thing that we all have in common is that we're all totally different. And the reason I bring that up is if I suggest something that's worked for me, it may not work for you. And in fact, it may be, triggering for you. So I like to keep that in my mind, especially when I'm on social media and stuff, because really some of those suggestions can be harmful. Do your research, talk to your doctor, make sure you don't try something that's actually going to make you worse. So I've been thinking a lot about paradoxes lately. And a paradox is a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement or proposition that, when investigated or explained, may prove to be well-founded or true. So an example is, in a paradox, she has discovered that stepping back from her job has increased the rewards she gleans from it. I find migraine to be kind of a paradox a lot. The first time I thought about this was when someone asked me, what are the positives you've experienced from having migraine disease? And I just stopped in my tracks. Positives? There's no positives. It's a disease. This is negative, Really made me think, is there anything positive? Are there any silver linings? So if we move on, this is what I'm talking about with triggers. Some people's treatments are triggers for others. So it's kind of a paradox. You think when you go out there and speak to people, it's like, well, chiropractic worked for these, 10 people I talked to. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I shouldn't. Or let's say you try something and it doesn't work for you and you start to feel hopeless about it, or you're wondering if it's something about you. Look, this is the way it is with migraine patients. We are all totally different. So don't take that to heart. Keep trying what works for you. If something doesn't work, move on to the next thing. It has nothing to do with you, your doctor, or anything else. There's even some medicines out there that if you take them too much, they can actually start to hurt you. So we've all heard about rebound headache, which they now try to call medication overuse headache as kind of more descriptive term. I've known people who took too much Tylenol and really actually damaged their organs. So, make sure you talk to your neurologist about treatments such as, these medications. They may make you feel better temporarily. They may not always be a great thing to use every day. Our environment can be a paradox. Everybody knows it's great to go outside and hike and be in the heat or the sunshine or exercise, like let's go running and really pump up our cardiovascular system. Well, for some of us, all those things are a trigger. Being in the heat for me is terrible. And I live in Northern California. It gets hotter and hotter every year here. It was 90 last week. And it never used to be that way. I mean, my trees outside are still green. They are so confused. They're like, what is going on? It's November. Usually they are red by this time and they don't know what season it is anymore. So be careful, going out, doing a bunch of cardiovascular exercise in the sun may just trigger your migraine even worse. And it's not your fault. You know, find a way to do something gentle. I used to be an athlete when I was a teenager, and it's really, really frustrating for me not to be able to exercise like I used to, raise my heart rate, go running. But it's something I've sort of had to accept. Hey, I don't want to feel worse. So, you know, figure out what works for you. Another paradox I've found with migraine is that having chronic migraines really forced me to slow down. I used to be crazy about my career. I wanted, when in my 20s, I moved around, did something new all the time. I really wanted to figure out what I could do with my career that I really loved, you know, something that made me money, but something I totally loved too. I even worked in an animal sanctuary for a while because it was just like, and believe me, I didn't make any money doing that, but I was like, how can I combine my love of something in my career? And having chronic migraine, you know, I've been doing the same job now for 16 years, which I work for a small architecture firm doing all the administration work, finance work. And a lot of times I was just like, well, it's not really like my passion. And I really love marketing. I always wanted to get into that. You know, this is what I can do. I have a flexible job because my employer knows me and knows my work and values it, you know, even if I can't do enough work that week. And so this is what I've had to accept. And to tell you the truth, it's been great. I mean, why put all that energy to something that I can't actually do anymore? And so what I've learned to do is just really love what I do, what I am able to do. And it feels really great. Same with relationships. You know, I've had to let a lot of relationships go. I used to be the kind of person that everywhere I moved, I kept friends. And, you know, I can't get on an airplane and go visit my friends, you know, down in the South or wherever. And it's hard. My family is wonderful. I'm the fifth child. I have a large family. My parents are amazing, and I don't get to see them as often as I would want to. One great thing about COVID is we meet each other on Zoom twice a week now. So that's been really silver lining there. Having chronic migraine forced me to get involved. I am a political animal at heart. My bachelor's degree is in politics, and going to Congress I think I've been to Headache on the Hill 3 times, maybe 4. It is so much fun for me. I mean, just walking around there and talking to people and feeling like you're actually involved in our democracy it made me really, really happy. Also, I've always been really interested in nonprofit work. I absolutely love being on the board for Miles for Migraine. And also being able to volunteer to do that has been great. Let me see here. So advocacy is not just about going to Washington, D.C. or, you know, talking to your Congress people. You can advocate for yourself. The first person you want to advocate with is your doctor. You know, Dr. Bernstein had a really great idea, and it's something I've been doing for years, and it's called my migraine profile. So this is just a page of it here on the right. I tried to make it a document that looked really professional. And it's basically, I told you I tried 80 things. I mean, this is a list of those 80 things. So I list it as preventative medication, abortive medication, and rescue medication. Those are the 3 types of migraine medication that neurologists generally classify it as. So that's something that they're kind of familiar with. And then my last one, which is some of these, the list you're seeing here on the screen, is alternative therapies. So, you know, I hand this list to any new doctor I have, and I'm like, here, this is what I've tried, instead of sort of being like, yeah, I've tried 80 things and not being specific. So something that they can look at later. I also put my volunteer work on there because I want them to know that I'm serious about this disease. I am all for advocating for myself. And I think it just makes you see that you're dedicated. Now, if you can't do the volunteer work outside, maybe you can start a blog or a journal, or you can just say, hey, I post in my, I keep a migraine journal, and I do it every single day, and I keep track of everything. Anything you can do to show them that you're really dedicated. Now, I've also heard that, having a list of your diagnoses, especially if you're like me and you have multiple things going on, can be great. Your test results, your medication list is so important. I mean, I'm with Kaiser, so they know everything I'm taking. But if you're not with Kaiser and you're going to doctors who don't have your medical record, it would be really great to just present them with your medication list and say, this is what I'm taking. Again, advocacy work, I already covered that. I like to think of it as a health resume. And to be honest, I haven't even done this yet. Like I said, I just have my migraine profile here. It would be really great to come up with a resume template, which everybody kind of has in their Word documents or whatever software you use, and come up with a health resume for them. Hand it to them the first time you meet them, and you're going to look super professional. They take you that much more seriously. You can advocate for yourself with your family and friends. My family and friends, I've been super lucky, right? And they know everything that's going on with me. One thing that I like to suggest is that sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming for your friends if you're talking about your chronic migraine all the time. So what I came up with my therapist was I chose one person who I kind of knew could take my, the extra communication. And I asked her and I said, would it be okay if when I'm feeling frustrated, I can call you up and talk to you about this? It may be a little bit, a lot of time on your part, but just to have somebody to sound this off with. And she said, yeah. So I had some other friends who just sort of weren't all that interested in hearing about the migraine all the time and the pain all the time. And it relieved me from that. So that now I talk to those friends about other stuff going on. And I have this one person to just sort of talk to and know that they won't judge me. And I found that to be a really great idea. So again, advocate for your community. I've kind of already gone through this. I have a blog that I actually have two blogs and I never post to them, but what I do have is Facebook pages for those blogs. And so if I'll see something that looks like it's, about migraine or about celiac disease, and I'll post to my Facebook pages. This little cute little brain guy is my blog's called Painfully Positive, my migraine blog, and that's my little logo. And I don't know, he makes me smile all the time. One thing about social media I'll just say is be careful with social media. I have so many friends that I've met online. I call them my migraine buddies, people I've met, not necessarily in person, but also I can get dragged into social media and start feeling really down about things going on with other people who are chronically ill, who, aren't getting the care they deserve, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking, I might try to limit my social media a lot more than I have been. And one thing I do with Facebook, instead of letting them control it with their algorithms, I go into the settings and I choose most recent. And so that gives you the posts that are just the most recent ones that you've chosen. And I find that to be a lot better than these algorithms that just throw some stuff at me that sometimes can be really negative. One thing I like to tell people about is acceptance. I know I'm going over my time. Helen, tell me if I need to hurry up. Acceptance.
You're fine.
Okay, thanks. Acceptance isn't really what people think it is. When I first started learning about acceptance, I was really negative about it because it felt like I was giving up, like I'm accepting my migraine disease, I'm giving up, that's it. For me, it's not really that way. First of all, acceptance isn't a destination, it's a journey. So I have to go through this every day. Am I going to accept this? Am I going to fight back? How am I going to feel about it? But I did make a shift, I'd say about 7 years ago, where I sort of was like, okay, I have chronic migraine disease. I'm in pain every day. Instead of feeling like, no, I'm going to turn this around. I'm not going to have this anymore. I'm going to find a cure, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of energy going towards something that just wasn't reality anymore. My reality is that I have chronic migraine and pain every day. But that's where the advocacy comes in, right? What can I do that's positive, that's going to make a change, instead of just sort of banging my head against the wall over and over again because I have this disease. There's a type of psychotherapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. It's really interesting. It's kind of on the same realm. It's not necessarily accepting that you have a disease though. And I feel like that extra step, learning about that can be really interesting. The other thing is, when it comes to acceptance, I noticed this morning that when I got on, this is a little personal, but I noticed that I've gained some weight. My face looks kind of fat to me. And I used to really not want to like post pictures on Facebook. So I was always like, well, I'm going to get better and I'm going to be able to exercise again and all of that. But I've really, through acceptance, I've really sort of come to accept who I am right at this moment today. And that person can't exercise as much and can't cook all these healthy dishes and all of that. So I don't mind anymore posting, what I do look like today on Facebook, because it really helps me to be like this. It just grounds me and this is who I am. And I accept that. Why would I want to hide myself when I have so much to offer? And that's just physical stuff anyway. So, that's not who I really am. And it helps me every day to sort of think that way. And hopefully it helps other people too, to be like, oh yeah, I haven't been able to lose those 20 pounds or whatever. That's not who you are. You're a person, you're a total warrior if you have chronic migraine. And so just put that person out there and show them how strong you are. Acceptance is also like, what am I going to focus my energy on? I think I talked about that a little bit. Am I going to focus it on something negative or something positive? And advocacy is just really, really helped me with that, to focus it on something positive. You can also think of yourself as a person with migraine disease instead of like, we used to call ourselves migraineurs because it was so hard to find some language that worked. And we kind of got rid of that because it defines you as migraine, but you're a person who is dealing with migraines. That's kind of a better way to look at it. So you can kind of shift your language a little bit and it might shift your perspective. Again, migraines acceptance is a journey. It's not a destination. There are times where I still bang my head against the wall in the morning. I'll just be like, oh, I can't get out of bed. So it's a journey. And I don't think I'll ever get to the destination, and that's okay, because I like to think about it every day, get up and think, what can I do that's, really positive today, instead of thinking about some negative part. Here we go. Whatever you do, don't feel guilty about how little you're doing. I should advocate more. I should volunteer for Miles for Migraine. I need to raise more money. Do what you can. That is all you're required to do. Do what you can. And self-care is super different for all of us. I mean, some of us need to be in bed. Some of us are out hiking. Some of us are working. Some of us can't work. You do what you need to do, because as everybody's been on an airplane knows, you have to secure your own oxygen mask before you can assist others. So do what you can do, because then you're going to be able to help everybody in the migraine community even more if you get, your own self-care in line. So thanks everybody. I hope you got something out of that. It's just so wonderful to see everybody's face, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program. Thanks.
Sara, thank you so much. I really always enjoy listening to you because you are so honest and upfront and offer some real, true examples to people that I know and I'm certain resonate and offer such hope. And I think your conversations, such as be yourself and acceptance, and what you can do today may not be what you can do tomorrow. It's a journey, and I think those are really valuable words. A couple of things I was just curious about. Oh, and I love when you said, love what you do. So to whatever degree what you're doing, make those things that you love. We've talked about it with a lot of different warriors, and advocacy and self-care are really important we feel are key to everyone's lifestyle, really, whether you have migraine or not. And it can look different from day to day. And some people are well along in their advocacy journey, like you are, because you found that it really speaks to a lot of your strengths. Some people are just starting out and need to start small, and that's that really has always spoken to me as I learn more and more about this community that we're a part of. So I think that's really important. I also think you offered a lot of practical experience. So please, anyone who would like some further information, we are going to take a break, but we still have a few minutes built in that we can ask Sarah some questions.
You know, and I forgot to answer Heidi's question. Heidi's so great. I've met her multiple times at Miles for Migraine in San Francisco. The secret I have to raising more money, Heidi, is that I'm the fifth child. And so my siblings have been really great. And that I also run a company with my ex-boyfriend. And he's been wonderful because he knows, boy, I sure could work more if they found a cure. So he always chips in a big amount of money too. So I know that was kind of a cliffhanger from earlier, but I don't have anything specifically to say to other people except, you know, use your social media. People who have known me for years, I've always been very outspoken about a lot of things, but I've always been very upfront about my migraines as well. So people just tend to know what I've suffered and the work that I've done to try, you know, people are impressed when you tell them that you went and did a walk for Miles for Migraine, or you went to Congress, and they know I'm serious about it and I'm trying. And so lots of times people will chip in for that as well. But I wish I had more specific raising money.
Well, I think your point to, I think what we found going virtual, and, you know, we can't wait for our Run, Walk, Relax events to go back to be in person, but virtually speaking, we've had a lot of people gather. You're blessed with a large family, but if you don't have a large family, sometimes it's just gathering those in your circle to be specific about, let's commit to an event and let's do it on a certain day, and we'll do it virtually. Whether you just check in with each other, you know, via a conference call or whatever, when you're done, take pictures, send them to each other. I think it's just leveraging your relationships to be a part of something that's so important to you. So we're always so grateful for that.
Yeah, and you know, Miles for Migraine allows you to create a team. And so last year was my biggest year of raising money. And that was because I had my two sisters and my friend Sandra with me. And Sandra works for a big corporation. They usually will match money. So I think creating a team through Miles for Migraine is a really great idea. Even if people can't come out and actually walk with you that day, create that team. It creates a little more excitement to have a team. Like mine's called, what did I call mine? Sarah's Warriors, I think. And I created a little t-shirt. We all wear the same t-shirt with that smiley face brain guy, my little logo. And like I said, even if they can't come that day, they're pushing that to their social media. So now you have 4 times the amount of people out there. And even if people are getting $10 donations, $20 donations, it just really adds up to have that team. Definitely. So I would suggest everybody try that once and see if you can raise more money that way.
Definitely. One thing we always like about having Sarah with us is she's really practical. And I think a couple of her suggestions that resonated with me that I don't always hear people say. And I'd be curious to know a couple of things. The migraine profile, I thought, is a really valuable tool. So again, I would encourage, some of you probably already have it in one form or another, but if you don't, I think what she did by just listing, and it can be as simple as a list dump of treatments that you've tried, medications that you're on, non-medical modalities that you incorporate, and advocacy work. I think it's a great tool to be able to share with medical providers or as you encounter new people. So I thought that was a really great practical experience, as well as, you know, the medication journal. So I'd be curious to know if some of you are doing that, or if some of you, if that's a new idea. Again, I think what the great benefit of this education is finding someone who has some tools in their toolbox that they're sharing that can be a benefit and hopefully help you. So again, I come back to the different levels of non-medical modalities. Please know that that's been important to us in 2021, 2020. Yeah, we all hope it's 2021. And that's why we've really added to our library, both our YouTube library and our educational library. And someone asked that question. Yes, we are recording this. Both the presentation slides will be available on our Education Day website, and there's also a link to this recording as well as all prior Education Days. And as I mentioned before, our mindfulness series is found on our mindfulness page. So please take advantage of those resources. That's why we